What's up, keepers? My name is Tommy Reardon.
My name is David Skoro-Dumov, and this is the Last Line of Defense podcast.
Here, we'll talk about everything goalkeeping and what the goalkeeper position entails.
This is episode 2, where you'll learn more about Anthony Martinez and both the bright side as well as the dark side of being an influencer while trying to make a name for himself.
Anthony, great to have you on. Can you give us a quick summary of your recent playing experiences?
Yeah, no, I first want to start out by thanking you guys for allowing me to be on here and share a little bit of my story. I currently play at Farmingdale, which is a local D3 in Long Island, New York. In the past, I played for the University of Memphis. We were a ranked program at the time, high level D1, and then transferred to Stony Brook University, which is my local D1 in Long Island. I have former international senior experience with Puerto Rico. I also have some experience with CPL side Calvary FC and also Queensboro FC.
Nice, man. So speaking about Farmingdale, how was that experience for you, especially at the D3 level?
But yeah, definitely loved my experience there. It was a tough decision for me to try to kind of put my ego aside and drop down a few divisions just to get the minutes I needed to kind of improve as a goalkeeper, but not even that, just as an individual. I think it was a pretty hard decision for me entering the portal and then ending up at a D3 school. But I loved every second of it. I think a lot of times it could have a bad stigma around going Division 3, especially because there's no scholarships and which obviously kind of takes away from the amount of players that you can get compared to D2 and D1. But definitely enjoyed my time there. Loved the people, loved the place, loved the coaching staff. Honestly, I have no complaints about the place, and finally getting the minutes that I needed was huge.
Yeah, very nice to hear. I think one more thing is the minutes. You got a lot of minutes, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And just tell me, how were those minutes, and how do you value them now?
Yeah, so definitely valuable minutes. I got over 1,000 minutes this season, and until I had a re-injury in my hamstring right before the postseason. The biggest thing for me the past few years was getting consistent game experience. I obviously played summer league where I got over maybe 700 minutes, but to consistently be the starter every day at practice, knowing you're the number one, having that confidence in myself, the coaching staff having confidence in me, it was definitely a huge thing for me. Definitely a confidence booster. The last few years, obviously, I played at a high level and with my national team and my two Division 1 schools, but never touched the field. I was always a number two, which honestly sucks even more than being a fourth string because you feel like you're so close. One mistake, maybe one injury, and it's your time to shine. But never got that opportunity, and um, but I get to learn in front from the people in front of me. At Memphis, I was behind the 22nd best player in the country this year, Colin Welsh, a great guy. Got to learn a lot from him. And then at Stony Brook, I was behind a 6-year senior, Eddie, kid from Germany. Got to learn a lot from him. And then on my national team, I'm behind an older guy, Joel, who's a great guy as well. So obviously, never wishing bad for them. But as a number two, you obviously hope that you get your opportunity, but never once got even a chance to prove myself. So it was never like, okay, Anthony, you're going to get this game and see how you do. Never got that opportunity. So to finally get the minutes and have a coaching staff believe in me was definitely a big confidence booster.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. So speaking about the situation you're in right now, so free agency. So I think we'll start with the college level. Just tell me how it is. Tell me the details and all the good stuff, bad stuff.
Yeah. So currently in the transfer portal, looking at a few options, but I think the biggest thing for me now is I got a taste of what playing feels like, and I know what it feels like not to play, and I definitely don't want to be in a situation where I won't be considered in the running for the number one. Obviously, no coach can guarantee a goalkeeper minutes and guarantee them the number one shirt, which is obviously something that every goalkeeper will experience. Any coach that you'll speak to will say you have to come in and earn that number. But for me, just looking for, if I'm being transparent, looking for scholarship, and I'm looking for a place where I know that the number one is in contention. So I wouldn't go nowhere where there's a solidified number one who has been a starter for 3 years and maybe is a senior. Um, that's not what I'm looking for. So I have a few options, and this is something that I've dealt with ever since I in high school to my first time in the transfer portal to my second to my third. I've always had big programs reach out to me, maybe as a walk on opportunity, but I would not. I'd rather be at a La Liga two side and get minutes than be at Real Madrid and sit on the bench. So that's how I look at things, and especially this year playing D3 and like I said, leaving my ego at the door and just really embracing the moment. Not really too picky about where I'm going to end up, but just want a winning culture, a good mentality from the guys. And obviously, there's external factors that go into these things, but yeah, those are the two biggest things for me.
Yeah. So about free agency at the college level, obviously, I think this year there's been a record set for the most amount of players in the portal, which is crazy. From what I heard, it was about 8,000.
Yeah.
So, and I also know there's a lot of showcases and combines. So, if you've been to any, can you share your experience?
Yeah, so I actually just attended one in Indio, California with off the ball pathways. There's about like 60 college coaches that came to watch because the MLS Next Fest was right around the corner. So the coaches were already in town. It's very well organized and got 260 minutes in 2 days to kind of showcase my talents. It was my first 11v11 minutes since my injury. So to play 260 minutes in the desert definitely was brutal. But yeah, it was nice to have that opportunity. Definitely got some interest from it. I got some much needed video, and yeah, it's tough, especially with the Division One roster cuts. A lot of coaches, especially after this fall, letting kids know that they're not in the future, and then obviously all the JUCO guys. And I think, especially this year, I think D2 and D3 would definitely get a lot more competitive, just because there's not you can't have 60 guys on a D1 roster. You can't have a practice squad anymore. I know some schools have that. Can't have a JV. So I think D2 and D3 you're definitely going to see a better level this year. And especially David, playing at Franklin Pierce, which is a top program, won multiple national titles. Just imagine how good like the NE10 will be next year. So
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. So
Crazy.
Yeah. So moving away from the college level and talking a little bit more about what you want to do later in life, which is the pro level.
yeah.
Just speak to me about what the process has been like so far, what steps you're taking to maximize your potential and also your recognition in the whole pro free agency market.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I've tested those waters before. After the fall semester at Stony Brook, when I got called for my national team, I wanted to step away from it. Wanted to step away from college. I honestly never thought I would play in college again, if I'm being transparent. So, obviously, the biggest thing is getting an agency because at the end of the day, the pro game, just as the college game is, it's all connections. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you can be a talented kid and just not have no idea what to do with networking, and you could get nowhere. Or you could be a kid that maybe isn't so talented, but you know how to market yourself and kind of create a story and a stigma around you. And I definitely think that that can help. So I do have my Instagram, and I do have a decent amount of following on there. So I try not to. I don't know. I kind of get like a false image based on other people's social media. People think that, oh, I'm just a social media goalkeeper who kind of fakes all these videos. But for me, all I do is set up a camera and I train. I'm not saying, hey, kick it in the top corner and let me catch the ball. That's not what I'm doing. I try to inspire people. I think I have a pretty unique story, whether that's starting, I never touched a ball until ninth grade year of high school. So I started really late, or it's um, setback after setback after setback with all my injuries and kind of keeping my mindset of staying strong and knowing that God has a plan set for me and knowing that eventually it would all work out. And I don't think that He implemented this dream in my head for no reason. So I definitely think that social media can help. And for me, it's gotten me Nike commercial. I did a Nike commercial in January. I did an Adidas commercial in March. Um, I just signed a glove deal with Elite Sport. So there's a lot of things that I definitely think that my social media has helped with, but I also think that there's been a lot that it's kind of discredited me with. I think a lot of coaches have a negative stigma about me recording myself and doing these things. Don't want to throw anyone under the bus or give any names, but I know a few professional coaches have kind of shied away from giving me an opportunity, even though they like my style of play, they like me as a person, as a player, and kind of just like the false stigma around the social media. Same thing with Matt Sheldon, who's probably like one of the most famous U.S. college soccer to professional YouTubers probably ever, if not the most influential. And he said the same thing that if he probably could go back, he wouldn't do it, the social media. So I think when you have this goal, like for me, being a professional athlete, um, it's tough to find that happy medium because obviously I'm a nobody in the professional soccer world. So for me, I'm not going to get advertisements because of who I am as a player. But say I can network myself and market myself as a marketable individual who can bring something to the table, which I think I have done. It's only beneficial because at the end of the day, like I said, the professional market it's mostly about networking, and then obviously it's not easy to live in this world. So wherever I can find money, whether that's brand deals or giving advice to kids with mentorship, try to do that.
Yeah, good. A lot of good stuff said. I appreciate the good information for both me, Tommy, and obviously the audience. I think I want to touch base on one more thing, just real quick. How has it been finding connections being a free agent?
Yeah, I did have a I did have an agent. I'm not gonna say any names, but things didn't really work out. I kind of got misled on a few things. wasn't very transparent on what I needed to do. A great guy, and I knew he meant well, but I think it's difficult to find the right agent for you. Um, for me, I didn't feel like there was enough personal connection. He didn't really know much about me, know much about my life and my story, and I think that makes me unique as a player and as a person. And I definitely think that getting off topic a bit, I definitely think that's something that college coaches lack is kind of finding that personal connection with individuals. Um, I definitely think that that's something that one would kind of make the player want to play for them because you know about my life, you know my struggles, and yet you still brought me in here and you understand those struggles. So why wouldn't I run through a brick wall for you? And I
Exactly.
feel like, sorry, a little notification popped up. And I feel like, especially as an agent, someone representing me, I don't think you can represent me well when you don't know my story. You don't know where I came from. You don't know how I grew up. You don't know what my mom's going through, what my family's going through. You don't know what I'm going through mentally. And I feel like a lot of times, if there's not consistent communication, um, how will you ever know where my headspace is at? And how will you ever explain to a coach who's never seen me play before in person? How can you convince them to give me a trial at their club? Because this dream that I want is a dream that you wanted when you were a kid, the dream that you wanted when you were a kid, the dream that millions of kids want. So what's going to make me unique to give me an opportunity? Not my at the end of the day, especially as a goalkeeper at that next level, everyone can save a ball, everyone can kick a ball, but in the locker room, how are they going to act? In the physio room, how are they going to treat the physios? How are they going to treat the people who give them lunch? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that I think um, an agent needs to know, and I think that's the biggest thing with networking is people understanding your story and understanding you as an individual, not just about the soccer. Because I can look at professional clubs in the MLS and give you 10 kids that maybe shouldn't be there, but I bet you 2,000% they're great individuals, they're great human beings, and they probably provide something to the team that maybe isn't a soccer related thing, but maybe they uplift their teammates when things are going wrong. Maybe they're always there to give advice. So I definitely think with networking, being vulnerable about your story and trying to find people who genuinely care about you as a human being is most important.
Definitely. Good stuff. Good stuff, Anthony. Something I want to ask you is to talk about the daily grind. So obviously, you said you didn't start. You didn't even touch a ball till freshman year of high school. So there's not much room for error when it comes to skipping days, right? So, other than injury, like what is the mentality you need to have when it comes to the day in day out grind and saying like, hey, I want to reach this goal, but I'm here. What's the work I need to do to get to that next level and sticking with it?
Yeah, 100%. This question makes me happy. I think I could talk about this all day.
Good.
Um, that's kind of something that I explained to my friends, or my teammates. I think a college coach asked me this the other day. He said, if we went to the locker room and we asked what type of person Anthony was, what would they tell you? And the first two things I would say is a leader and a hard worker. And I think there's a very like, how can I put this? Become a professional besides the networking is pretty simple. Like, but people just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Not it's not just about how many times you go to the field and how much footy you play. It goes to every decision that you make throughout your day. It always has to go back to, okay, what is going to put me in the best situation to become a professional.
Yeah.
So for us, we can't rely on a laptop. I'm not a data analyst. I'm not a mechanic. I can't rely on people bringing me cars. So
Yeah.
what do I have to rely on? My body. So what goes into that? How much I sleep, how good I eat, how well I recover, my stress load, everything like that goes into becoming a professional. Some people are naturally gifted, like understandable. Maybe they don't have to put in the work, but those people will never stay at the top. And if they get to the top, they won't stay there because they can get complacent and go on throughout your day. So for me, my friends, whenever after a session, I'm always I'm foam rolling every part of my body for 1 minute. I'm doing my hip mobility. I don't care if we have plans to go out to dinner, what we're doing, I'm doing that. It doesn't matter. So for me, I got to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm a very selfless person. But if you ask me to drive you to the airport at 2 in the morning and I have practice at 8 in the morning, I'm not sacrificing my sleep for you. It's just reality. Anything that I can do to give me the advantage over somebody, I will do. So, for example, I've dealt with so many injuries. This year alone, I pulled my hamstring twice. I strained my hip flexor 3 times, and it's just okay. Like maybe I could just stop, or I could just blame the world for all these things happening to me. But no, you got to show up every day and do what you got to do, whether that's physical therapy. And a big thing that I learned this year is your mentality and your mental aspect of things. I started to journal a lot. I grew my relationship with God a lot, and I definitely think that there's multiple things that you have to do to become a professional outside of just just playing the soccer. That's the easy part. I If my body let me, I would train 18 hours a day, but my body's not letting me train more than 3 hours. It's not happening. So I definitely think it's the little things. Like I said, the food you eat, the recovery you get, the time you give to yourself to reflect on these things. I definitely think is huge.
Yeah, great insight. Honestly, love it. So let's go over to the social media aspect in your life. Obviously, you said earlier that you have a pretty big following on Instagram, and personally, I can say you make great content. I'll appreciate good content when I see it.
Appreciate it.
So let's get into the good and bad things of being an influencer.
Yeah. So I definitely think the bad things are editing, or I would say the worst thing is training in a group and having people spam you to send you their videos. I think that's the worst because they think that it takes 2 seconds to go on my GoPro and send them film. It doesn't work like that. But if you want to get into the bigger picture, I definitely think people expect a lot of me, and people know who I am, and I don't know a lot of people. I can put it that way. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I have 23,000 followers, and I follow 2,000 people. There's 20,000 people that follow me that I have no idea who they are. So if I walk in the room and they know who I am, they expect something of me. If I go to a field, they expect me to play to this standard. And obviously, I'm not perfect. Um, no, nobody's perfect. We're not robots. We make mistakes. So in a game scenario, in a practice scenario, uh, maybe people think that I'm this god of a goalkeeper. I mean, I back myself. I think I am a very good goalkeeper, but maybe people take it a little bit too far, like I'm Neuer or something. Uh, I definitely think with the coaches, like I said, it could put a bad stigma around it. Some coaches think that maybe all my time is going to that, and instead of focusing on the team or focusing on practices. But for me, honestly, if I know I have a camera on me 24/7, I feel like I'm trying to play better.
Yeah.
Trying to perform better. I'm trying to be a better person because one, I'm gonna get better content, which could eventually lead me to getting better opportunities. So if I have a little GoPro in the net and it's not bothering you and it's not bothering anybody else, like maybe it benefits us. Because I know when I put my GoPro out, especially in small sided, the level it's just different. Like I don't know. I mean, you guys know if practice is
Yeah.
recorded and they if someone came with a camera and was like, all right, I'm recording small sided today,
You're
wouldn't
locked
everyone
in.
wouldn't everyone just bring the level up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely think it's tough because at Farmingdale this year, I do have a little bit of an older coach. Shout out Chuck, I love you, but you're a little bit of an old head. Uh, he didn't like the social media aspect too much, but especially towards the end of the season, he kind of got a little bit more lenient with it. And during season, I wasn't really too focused on posting because it was my first time getting consistent collegiate minutes, so I really didn't want to distract myself with having the obligation to consistently post 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I put my camera on sometimes at training, but not all the time because, like I said, I didn't want to distract myself. Um, but he could tell we would do shooting drills, and boys would go just a little bit harder, celebrate just a little bit more when that
Yeah.
camera's on. So I think the benefits to it are one, I get to look back and kind of look at my mistakes, which isn't something I've had the opportunity to do because I've never had practices recorded at any team environment. My three schools, we never had like a VO like other schools to kind of go back and look at what I can fix, especially having something in the net that is right there on me. I can kind of specifically look at, all right, maybe I went a little bit too early here. Maybe I was set a little bit low. Maybe my hands weren't in the right place. And sometimes when I'm having a bad day and I need a little confidence booster, if I watch a couple saves that I made and I'm like, all right, like maybe I had a bad day at training and I can go back and watch my good day at training earlier in the week. I'm like, I know I'm good enough to play. Like I don't have to beat myself up about it because I had one bad day.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like I'm sure LeBron watches his highlight tape whenever he's having a bad day. Why, why can't I? So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to it,
Crazy.
especially the banter with my close friends.
Mm.
They love it, especially when the camera's on and we're just shooting around. They go celebrate in the camera and stuff. So I think it brings joy, and I think there's only benefits to it if I'm being honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Try not to focus too much on the negative aspects of things, or else you'll hate
Definitely.
it. So.
Yeah. Little spiral. Yeah, love it. Um, I was gonna ask you about like connections and network and how like the importance of that. I mean, I think you touched on that pretty well, but I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on to that?
Um, I think I can touch on a little bit of college recruiting if
Yeah,
you guys,
yeah. Please.
especially for high schoolers.
Yeah,
Um, I think the biggest thing is so. For example, I had this kid in high school who's my best friend, and I think without him, I don't play college soccer. He played at Franklin Pierce. His name was Yanni.
Yeah.
David knows him very well. My boy Yanni, love that guy. He played club. I don't think he played at the biggest club growing up. I think he played at like Long Island Soccer Club. But anyways, that's beside the point. Um, he was working, emailing coaches, going to ID camps, doing all these things without telling anybody. The kid ends up going to Franklin Pierce. He wins a national championship at the D2 level. And something that my varsity coach always said to me, especially when I was a senior, trying to get recruited, reach out to Yanni, reach out to Yanni, reach out to Yanni. But if I don't have Yanni, then who am I reaching out to? I would have no idea where to go. And my high school coach was very surprised that Yanni got to Franklin Pierce. And it's not about the quality. Like Yanni's a quality player. It's about the networking aspect of things. And Yanni took it upon himself to go do that for himself. And I think these kids think that these coaches are just going to come find you. The sad reality is if you're not an MLS Next All Star, these coaches are not coming to find you. It's just
no,
reality. If you're playing National League, if you're playing ECNL, I mean maybe ECNL they'll come find you, but it's tough.
yeah,
Like I have more, I've gotten more opportunities emailing coaches than them actually coming just to watch me. I don't think I've had one coach, no matter how well I've played in a showcase, offer me on the spot at a showcase. I don't think it's ever happened to me. I played at so many showcases. This never happened. I've sent over, I don't even know. This transfer portal like season alone, I've sent over 1,200 emails. Like sitting here just sending out emails. Me, a person with 22,000 on Instagram who has the social media presence and all of this, I still find myself always going back to emailing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these coaches have how many kids emailing them? I'm not just, if I email them once, hey, maybe they ignore it because they don't think I'm good enough. Okay, fine by me. But I'm gonna keep trying because maybe something happens. Maybe one of their goalies gets hurt. Maybe one of their goalies transfers out, and now it's a fresh reminder in the head. Okay, I have this kid who's reaching out consistently. Obviously, he wants to play college soccer. Maybe I give this guy a chance. So I think you have to send out these emails. And another thing with the social media is make sure your Instagram is marketable. You don't want
Yeah.
a coach looking at you and you have a picture of you with a Bacardi bottle in your hand, or maybe you have a picture doing something you're not supposed to do, and then you think that these coaches won't find that. Because but at the end of the day, I want to be a college coach. That's what I want to do for a living after I
Yeah.
play professional. So for me, the first thing I'm going to do is go on their Instagram, and if I see this kid with a Bacardi bottle in his hand, why would I ever recruit this kid? How does that look for my program if this
Yeah.
kid is doing bad? So being marketable, being presentable, holding yourself accountable to email coaches, and touching on
Being
ID camp
being
too,
persistent.
being persistent, not taking the rejection to heart.
Mm.
If I put up every single email I've gotten saying I wasn't good enough, that they didn't think I could fit in their system, all of this, it honestly, you can't take it to heart because at the end of the day, a water bottle is worth $1 on the street, $2 in the store, and $10 on an airplane. So your value is not just determined by one coach. One coach cannot determine if you're gonna make it pro or if you're just gonna crash off and never play again. I
Yeah.
mean, unless you're sensitive and that's just the type of person you are, then obviously you're just
Tough luck.
set up to fail at that point. But being
Yeah.
persistent, like you said, and just touching on ID camps, being realistic with yourself. I don't think going out of high school I would go to a Duke ID camp. Um, maybe a local D2, a local D1. But these kids, they try to go to these Clemson ID camps, these Marshall ID camps, and they're like, damn, these things are scams. Yeah, because you're recruiting 20 internationals. They don't need you to go. So obviously, trying to get in contact with these coaches and yeah, being honest with yourself. I think a lot of times these kids get caught up in just trying to play D1 at the highest level, and they're not realistic with themselves. And maybe that coach just needs a roster spot to fill, and you'll never see
Mm.
the field. You'll be miserable. So being realistic and putting yourself in a situation that's going to make you the happiest. I promise you. I was at a top 25 program. We made the national tournament. We were a great team with great players. And compared to my D3 program, who lost in the semifinal of our conference tournament, my happiness comparison from being at the University of Memphis to being at Farmingdale is not even comparable. I don't even think that's the same human being that I was there and then. Because every single day I woke up and I'm like, wow, I'm the number one at a school, and I have a team to to put on my back and carry as a
Mm.
goalie. They have to trust in me, and I have to trust in them. Or comparing to waking up and wow, I had to hit 10 volleys to this guy before a game. So yeah, being realistic
Yeah.
with yourself is definitely a big thing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, great stuff said, Anthony. Again, we all appreciate it, and I think the younger audience that will be watching this podcast, obviously, they'll take it to heart and they'll do something with it, and hopefully, go play D1, go play pro, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, just to wrap up, Anthony, thanks so much for coming onto this podcast. Thanks for taking the time out of your day, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it,
appreciate it.
Anthony.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good shot. Yes, sir.